My name is Krizek, and I am the founder and CEO of Voltage. And today, for Technical Tuesday, we are going to go over creating Lightning Network nodes with Voltage. So we'll start with a little bit about me. I am the founder and CEO of Voltage, like I just mentioned. Been around Bitcoin since about 2011, contributing in all sorts of different ways. I have been a cloud architect for about 6 years, so I've focused on creating cloud infrastructure for a while now, and really excited to apply, what I've learned to Bitcoin and the Lightning Network. Also wanted to just post my tag at GKRIZEK at just about anywhere, Twitter, whatever kind of platform you want to use. That's probably where you'll find me. Also want to put my email there if anyone you want to say hi, have questions, anything like that. I want to be easily reachable. So there's my email. So getting into what we're going to talk about today. So first, we'll kind of cover at a high level what is Voltage. What services do we provide? How and what kind of the things you can receive on our platform. We'll go over our dashboard, which is our central hub of how you kind of manage your nodes and the central point into our platform. We'll do an infrastructure flyover of a pretty high level view of kind of how our infrastructure is set up, and then go into how it works. And then we'll, of course, do a demo and then have some closing remarks. And of course, since this is a Technical Tuesday, I will maybe go a little bit more technical than we would in a different scenario. So starting it off, what is Voltage? So we are creating an all-in-one platform for the Lightning Network, focusing specifically on the infrastructure side, really. So how that manifests itself today is through hosting of Lightning Network nodes. And we've always, through creating our platform, we have focused on maximizing the user control through the process. So we automate things like the deployment of your node, the backups, the networking, all of the things that kind of happen on the back end that aren't so fun to use. And then we leave it up to you to control your settings, your funds, the credentials. We give you the ability to manage all of these things in a nice, easy way. And of course, like node creation happens in about 2 minutes. So we have tried to create a platform that is as easy to use as possible, handles all of those things that you don't honestly want to mess with when you're setting up a node. And we leave those things that are fun to mess with to you and let you still manage those as if you were running the node yourself. And on that final bullet point, I put in much, much more, meaning that is sort of a hint at this is kind of just the beginning for us. We have a lot of things that we want to accomplish and a lot of product pieces we want to lay out, and ultimately create a platform that kind of manages the whole life cycle of Bitcoin and Lightning and how you transition between the two, channel management, all of those things. So this is kind of what I'm going to demo today is our core platform of creating and hosting nodes. But I would just say keep an eye out on us and watch what we're doing. We'll be releasing a lot of really cool things over the next months and years and on. So this is supposed to be a demonstration of what we're trying to build here. We're trying to be the Oprah Winfrey of Bitcoin and the Lightning Network. And what I mean by that is we want to make it so easy for you to create a Lightning node that everyone gets a node. It's like kind of a no-brainer that you can just come and click a few buttons and have a node. It's not going to be this thing where you have to buy a bunch of hardware, set it up in your home, spend a weekend setting it all up. So we're really going from a long, expensive process to you can be up on Lightning, in under 5 minutes. So getting into the dashboard a little bit more, this is just a screenshot of our dashboard, and we'll get into it more in our demo, but this is kind of the central hub of where you interact with our platform. So through this, you can see, this is an example of a node. You can see, its status, its LND version, the voltage version, your certificates, all of those things that you need to know about what's going on in your node. You can see there's like a connect button and a settings button. So this is really where you're going to be managing your node from. when you're needing to get access into it for your macaroons or downloading your TLS certificate to connect, getting the API endpoint. So this is really going to be the central place where you interact with Voltage. And is another screenshot of how to create a node. So this is when you're creating a node, this is, you go here and then there's one more page after. This is, we ultimately want to support multiple versions of the Lightning Network implementations. Right now, we only support LND with, want to eventually support C Lightning and Eclair and some of the other ones. But this is your central point to how you're going to create a node. You can see it's easy, just kind of select your version, what type of node, and then create, and you're off with just adjusting a few settings. And so getting into those settings, we have worked to expose the settings that you care about and that you might want to adjust, and then we kind of have managed some of the non-necessary settings behind the scenes. So you can see, you can turn on things like autopilot or which APIs you want to expose, whether you want to accept key send or not, Wumbo, all of those great things. We make it basically just little switches in our UI. Of course, you can manage your node alias, and then also the IP whitelist right there. So this is something that's a little unique to our platform that isn't built into LND right now, is the concept of IP whitelisting for your APIs. So through this, you can set up who is allowed to talk to your node. You can set this to your home IP address, or if you have a VPN, set it up to your VPN address. And so this makes it way more secure, so you can access it kind of anywhere, but it's not open to just everyone in the world. It still maintains some of that security. And then down below, you can see a webhook URL. So we have webhook support in our platform. Right now, the only thing that does is when your node is ready to be unlocked, it'll send a post request to whatever your webhook is set to. So this can be really nice for things like auto unlocking, when you want to if your node is supposed to be like an HA and you need to adjust settings, but you don't want to try and catch the unlock at the right time or something, you can automate this completely by just putting in a webhook URL right here. When your node is ready to be unlocked, we send a post request to that endpoint, and then you can unlock it from there, just through an automated process. Of course, we have a webhook secret, for validation that it is coming from us. Getting into how to connect to your node. So this is a dialog box that we have to connect in. You can see at the top there, we offer connection information for some of the most popular wallets or node managers. And you can just select which one you want, and there'll be kind of detailed instructions on how to connect. But you can see, if you're trying to use Zap on mobile, it's super easy to just pop this up and then scan it with your phone, and you're into your node. If you're using it on desktop, you can just copy and paste this LND connect URL into the desktop version of Zap, which we'll demo here in a little bit. So you can see how easy connecting into your node is, and we make it easy across no matter what kind of software you're using. We try and make it as easy as possible, and help you along the way to make sure that the connection happens without a lot of headache. So getting into the infrastructure a little bit more, this is a 10,000 foot view. So there's obviously a lot more going on inside of our network than this, but it can be essentially summed down to this diagram. So you can see everything runs inside of our internal network. The communication between the Bitcoin nodes and the Lightning nodes and Tor and our router, all of this is in a trusted network that is an internal address space that no one else can access. It's not across the internet. It stays in our trusted network. You can see through the Lightning nodes, whenever they're connecting out to the peer-to-peer network, they're going through Tor. So people can't see across the network that you're using Voltage, which I think we did that intentionally for privacy's sake. No one can try and attack your node through whatever reason, because they know you're running on Voltage. Everything is routed through Tor. This also gives you a little more privacy from us, meaning that we cannot see who your peers are across the network, like for channels or anything like that. We just see that you're connecting to Tor entry nodes, and we can't basically see anything outside of that. The Bitcoin, something I didn't I kind of didn't demonstrate in this is the Bitcoin full nodes, when they're connecting out to the Bitcoin network, those are also routed through Tor. So when you're broadcasting transactions on chain, they're not going through ClearNet, they're going through Tor as well. So that's another privacy preserving technique. So no one can know, they're using voltage through the Bitcoin nodes. You can see and all of this, connects through our internal network, which is still encrypted, with TLS, even inside of our internal network. So no one can, man in the middle across wires inside of our own network or sniff packets. And then going to our edge router, when you're connecting through those gRPC or the REST APIs, you're hitting our edge router first. And that's where we do, IP whitelisting, rate limiting, all of those kind of security practices. And then we relay the request back to your Lightning node. This allows us to do, those security best practices of IP whitelisting and rate limiting, but it also helps by not exposing your node to the outside world. It allows us to have a lot finer grained control over what requests make it to your node and making sure that those requests are valid and should be. And it just provides a more trusted setup. It's kind of the way that you probably should be running your nodes, is not exposing APIs directly to the internet, having some of these security mechanisms in front of it. And to elaborate on this a little bit, we use trusted TLS certificates on all of our nodes. So that means that the TLS certificate that encrypts the traffic for these APIs is signed by a trusted certificate authority. So LND out of the box right now uses self-signed certificates. I think they might have just merged in Let's Encrypt support. But either way, they use self-signed certificates, which means that you basically have to have a copy of the certificate locally to validate that you're talking to the right place. With trusted certificates, that's no longer needed because it is already validated by like a trusted certificate authority that does that validation. And so by doing this, that means that we, in our edge router, when we are trying to direct a request to a specific node, we use what's called the server name identification, which is part of the TLS protocol. And so we don't decrypt your messages in our edge router. The requests that you are making are encrypted straight from your device, straight to your node's process. And we are able to still do those routing and the IP whitelisting and everything like that just by using the originating IP address and then the server name identification piece of the TLS protocol. So you can still get those benefits, but we are not still able to see your request of unlocking or anything like that. The request is, encrypted straight to your node, and there's nothing we could do to look inside of that. Some of these things I already mentioned, but we use, the trusted TLS certificates, which gives, a nice experience for both not being able to decrypt requests, and then also you don't have to have a copy of your TLS certificate to validate you're talking to the right place. All internet access is through Tor, like I mentioned, for both Bitcoin nodes and Lightning nodes. And then the middle one is no access into the server. So in our servers, we have all kind of remote access turned off. So we can't SSH into servers. We can't do any kind of like remote desktop, nothing like that. So your servers are really, they're protected in a lot of ways. But one of the most important ways is that no one can access into the servers. And that's how they're, on boot, they don't have SSH on, they don't have any of these things on. So they are essentially like a black box that no one can get into. And to, I guess, elaborate on the servers a little more, we also use full disk encryption. We use memory encryption, and then the transport layer encryption, like I was mentioning earlier with TLS. So basically everything is encrypted kind of all of the time in our platform, and nothing is ever, sitting unencrypted essentially. And something I need to, so kind of transitioning into how it works, we use a feature in LND called stateless init, which just got merged in, I think last week or 2 weeks ago. So it's not in 0.11.1. We backported the fix like into 0.11.1. And so what this does is it does not write macaroons to disk ever. When you are unlocking or initializing your LND wallet, you pass in a flag that says, I want to do stateless initialization, and it will return your admin macro back in that API response and not write any macaroons to disk. So we use that, and by doing that, we are never able to see macaroons at all in our platform. So we never have access into your node to. We can't see your wallet balances, your transactions, your peers, channels. None of that stuff we can see because we never have the ability to look at your macaroons. They're returned to you back into your device, which is usually your browser when you're creating it from our dashboard. So that's transitioning into going into a little bit more detail about how that works exactly. You can see here in our diagram, we have the 3 columns of far left is client device, which is basically you and your browser on the Voltage dashboard. Middle is our API. And then the third is the L&D node that we create for you. So when you're creating a node through the dashboard, you request a node to our API. Our API then provisions the node for you, in our infrastructure, does provisions disks, sets up the servers, all of that stuff to create the node. And then we return that information for your node back to you. So it's like, here's basically your API endpoint. And then in the dashboard, we then make a call from the dashboard straight into the node. So it's not to our API, it's through our edge router, but again, it's encrypted to the process. So it requests into the node that is running, that we just provisioned for you. And it says, I want to initialize it with this password, and I want stateless initialization, so it doesn't write any macaroons to disk. And then on that way back, that is including the macaroon. So it's returning the macaroon back to you, back into your browser. And then on the client side browser, we encrypt that data, your seed phrase, your macaroon, all that stuff to your password that you used for initialization. And so we encrypt all of that data client side, and then we back it up to our API. So if you ever lose your macaroon, or it helps with the connection information, we store a copy of that encrypted data, which, because it's encrypted to a password that we never see, it's never left the client device, that we can't decrypt what is backed up to our servers. And then after it's backed up to our API, you are free to use the credentials and do things into your node. Create channels, fund the node, whatever you want. So this is essentially how we achieve like a non-custodial nodes, in that we never see your password, we never see your macaroon, we cannot access anything about your node. When your node is running with us, it's essentially a black box with everything encrypted. We can't see your peers, bounces, anything like that. And so going into a little bit more about how you can connect, kind of what I was just saying is when you open up that dialog box to connect in our dashboard, it sends a request to our API saying, hey, I want the connection information for this node. We look up, the data, and then return it back, which is again encrypted. It's just blob of encrypted text that we return back to you. And then in the dashboard, you're prompted for your password, and you enter that in, and then it's decrypted client side. So then it can generate that the connection information, the L&D connect information, the QR codes, whatever it is you need. So everything, all encryption and decryption has happened client side in our dashboard. And you can see, before I go there, I thought I had a link. There's a link somewhere to our dashboard is open source. So you can verify everything that I'm saying here. Our dashboard is open source. You can go view what calls are being made to our API, what calls are being made into your node, how the encryption works. All that stuff is open source. So you can go verify all of that. Wanted to leave this up here. This is a blog that I wrote that basically it's basically all this stuff that I'm talking about. It's just in text format and maybe a little more detailed in certain areas. So feel free to go check out the blog if you want more information on that and how it works. So demo time, we can get into the dashboard and create some nodes. Sorry, I need a drink. So what I'm going to do, we're going to create 2 Lightning nodes. One, I'm going to run through it really quick and just create a node and connect to it. I really want to demonstrate how easy it is and how quickly you can create a node. And then I'll go and create a second one that I'll kind of walk through and explain what's going on and how it all works. So we will switch to our dashboard. So here is the Voltage dashboard. You can see this is like I just created the account. There's no nodes running. It says you don't have any nodes once you create a node. So going into here, if this is the first creation, it would prompt you to create a trial node. I already kind of primed this and bought some nodes, so it's ready to go. You can, of course, we only can select L&D right now, and then we'll go create. And so we can select what kind of node it is. And for this, we'll go routing node. We'll go Technical Tuesday route. And then you create a password, and this password will be used for your for initialization into the Lightning node and for encrypting that data. So we have a warning here about how important it is to back this up, because if you lose this password, we can't help you. Like you're kind of on your own. So here it's provisioning our node. So what this is doing in the backend is it's basically creating the server, provisioning the disks, getting everything in line so you can it's setting up the network routes, setting up everything in our edge router so we can do the proper IP whitelisting. Which this when you're creating a node this way, it automatically kind of auto discovers your IP address and automatically applies the whitelist of where you're creating the node from. So it's never like exposed to the internet. It's always there's always a default IP whitelist unless you specify otherwise. Then you can see it went through initialization and then encrypting data while I was talking, and now it's finalizing. This is basically just waiting for L&D to finish creating the databases and setting everything up. So now we can see it's done and it's running, and so we can just go connect. And again, it prompts us for that password, so we can decrypt that data that is returned from the API. Oh no. I guess I was talking and I didn't get the password right. Well, let me go and I'll create a second one and then we'll demonstrate that one. It's not a good demo if I didn't screw up a password and then forget about it. So we'll go through and create this again. I'll go into more detail on this one. So you can see here, if you don't like this default option of saying creating a standard node on mainnet, you can change it. And we have what's called a light node, a standard node, and a trial node. A standard node is a Lightning node that is backed by a Bitcoin full node. And then a light node is a Lightning node that is backed by a neutrino. So a light node is cheaper, and I can go through the purchasing thing in a second. Light node is cheaper, and standard node is a little more expensive, but you get more. Neutrino has some quirks to it that make it okay for personal wallets and some testing wallets. But if you're running like a store or something, you probably want it to be backed by like a Bitcoin full node. If you're running a routing node, any of those things, you probably want like a standard node that's connected to a Bitcoin full node. And then you can also select your network here of testnet or mainnet. And so, yeah, I mean, you probably want mainnet, but if you're doing something, with testing or trial nodes are running on testnet, so you can do it that way. And then so going into these, so what do these boxes mean? So these are essentially just adjusting those settings, and you can click advanced and it will show all those settings so you can define them yourself. And so you can define your alias of test one or something, and then you can turn on autopilot, rest, key send, whatever you want. You can adjust your settings here. You can do a color picker for your node's color on the network. You can do all those things. So these buttons basically just kind of turn those settings on and off for you. And you can see here of like the help will say like, okay, with a routing node, autopilot is off, gRPC is on, yada, yada, yada. So they're just basically, quick buttons to provision your node. And then we'll do this again and I won't mess up the password. Oh, geez. It's not a demo if it doesn't go wrong, right? Let me try this and I'll delete this. Well, I'm gonna let that cool down because there's a rate limit on how often you can create those. We'll go to purchasing first. So looking at these are the different types of nodes you can create across the platform. So you can do like the standard node on a 1 month basis or pay for it for the year. And those are just a little different on how they on their billing. It's just like monthly billing or paying for the whole year at once. And you can see we you can buy with a credit card or buy with Bitcoin, either one. And then we have our light nodes as well. And so once you create one, it'll pop you over to the create page, and then that's where you can fill it, do all of this whole process. And so that's why it's got a rate limit on how fast I can do that. Again, it's not a demo if there's something doesn't go wrong. So let me cover the settings. So on your account, you can do all of some of the settings of adjusting your password, doing MFA for two-factor. You can do your billing, and you can email us for support. We also have these things called exports, which I don't have a node running, so there won't be any exports to do just yet. But exports are essentially, you can export all of the files from your node onto and download all of them. So you can download your TLS certificate, the database, whatever you want to download from your node. We let you do that. So let's try and create a new node now. Okay, we'll keep that same information. We'll do a routing node TF route. Okay, let's get this one to work. Okay, so I've kind of explained how all of this stuff works already, but I guess we can, I'll get out of that while it's still provisioning. And so you can see in your settings here, you can still do, adjust those settings after you've created it. You can adjust your webhook URL, your IP whitelisting, all of those things. You can still adjust after it's created. And then once you adjust your settings, you just click Save Settings, and it'll do the thing for you, and it'll have to restart your node because of some of the settings in L&D require a restart. So it'll most likely need to restart your node. And then there's the export data, and then there's the view logs as well. So one other thing I'll mention is when there is an update for, like, say L&D releases a new version, there will be another drop down here, like above Connect, that says Update Available. So when you're wanting to update your node, you just click Update. You click the Update button, and it'll say, are you sure you want to update? And then you just update, and that's all there is. It'll just restart your node, and it'll be running on the latest version. So updates are super easy on the platform as well. Okay, I got the password right that time. So let's go to Zeus. So I have a Zeus desktop installed, so we'll just try that first. So I just copy the L&D connect code there, and then I'll pop over to Zeus and click connect, and then just paste it in. Are you sure? And then I'm in. And you can see it's, I think this was a light node, so I think it's syncing to the network still. You can see, like that's all there is, and I'm connected to my node, and I can go in here and fund it, with some Bitcoin, and then start using Lightning. So that's how easy it is to connect. Is you can just click this connect button. It prompts you for your password, and then you are able to connect with whatever device you want. And then you can see a warning here. My node doesn't have the REST API enabled, but Zeus uses the REST API, so it gives you a warning of, hey, you need to turn this on, otherwise Zeus isn't going to work. So that's how easy it is to connect. And then I'll show you how. So we can turn REST on, and then we'll save settings, so we can see how easy it is to update settings. You have your stop delete buttons, of course, and then you can see you have the versions all laid out here, and then same thing with your macaron. If you want to download your macaron, you can do test 1, 2, 3, and then download. So that's the same thing with a TLS certificate. That's not encrypted because it's just a public certificate. No one cares about it, so you can just download that. You can see my node is restarting from that. What's it called? Settings update. So we can view the logs too. And so you can see how easy it is to view logs for your node in the platform. You just click the view logs, and you can see what's going on, and you can see it just shut down because of that restart. So we'll go back home. See, it's restarting. And see, now you can see it's waiting unlocked because because we don't have access to the macaroons or anything, we cannot unlock them for you. So this is why when this happens, you get an email saying, hey, your node's waiting to be unlocked. And then if you had that webhook enabled, it would call your webhook to go unlock it, automatically. You can see it is unlocking, and then I'll demo the export data as well. And so you can see in our export type, you can see we have like, a full export, the logs, the channel backup, the TLS certificate. To do a full backup, your node has to be stopped because we don't want to like export the database that's not complete or something, because we don't constantly sync those up to our archival store. So you could go to like channel backup and then start an export. And you can see it is creating and it failed. It might not be updated just yet. It might not, actually, it probably doesn't have a channel backup because it's the light node and it hasn't finished syncing to the chain. You can see that's how basically you create an export if you wanted to. And then going into this again, you could see if you wanted to do like LNCLI, we have a quick command line option, and you can see like your RPC server. And then if you wanted to go into like something like BTC Pay server, the BTC Pay server, it's not really recommended to use like your admin macaroon when you're connecting with BTC Pay. So we have this button that you can use to like just create a macaroon that is, it creates it with exactly the permissions that BTC Pay server, recommends. So we create a macaroon for it, and then you're able to see it here, and you can just click and then copy and paste it into your BTC Pay configuration. Same with Joule. We offer like the hex versions of your macaroon. Same thing with like if you need a read-only macaroon, you can generate one here. Then like ThunderHub, we have a easy config option because it uses like a config file to get set up. And so that's, whatever major application you want to connect with, we probably have it here. And if you have one that's not listed here and you would like it, just let us know and we can certainly add it in. Then just a general LND Connect for any application that's not listed here. A lot of them use LND Connect. So I think that's a good rundown of the platform. So let me hop back over here to my slides. So we'll close this thing out. Whoops. Go ahead and use Keynote. So in closing, so this is through all of the modifications that we've made to LND and to our infrastructure. This is the most secure way to run Lightning nodes as it exists today, without having the macaroon encryption and all of the encryption in the middle. We've made sure that this is, by far the most secure way that you can run a node. It is a trusted system, and that you are trusting us to run your nodes and keep them online all the time. But that being said, we've done a lot of work to make sure that this is the most trusted setup that you can get when running Lightning nodes. It's also the easiest and the cheapest way. With our $10 a month node, I think it's the cheapest way that you can get with all of the simplicity added in. And so that's what we really want to do with, again, going back to the Oprah Winfrey of Bitcoin. That's what we're trying to make here, is an easy way for anyone to get a node in just as little time as possible. Again, and I'll mention, there's so much more to come. We have a lot more that we want to build, and this is just the start. So I would recommend you watch our blog there, getvoltage.io/blog. We also have a Telegram group. You can find that from our website. It's a small and growing group, so get in there and we will have a lot of updates about what we're working on. And of course, if you have any questions, recommendations, anything that you want to see in the platform, definitely let us know. We want to prioritize, what the community wants to see, and definitely build for that. So I think we'll close there, and I appreciate everyone's time, and I look forward to seeing you on the Lightning Network.